Good evening, everybody. So, today I want to talk to you all about the signs you want to look for if you are married to a narcissist. And I decided to look up a couple of things and I want to read to you all what a narcissist spouse is. So, a narcissist spouse will primarily focus on themselves, with their second focus being on obtaining and the admiration and attention of others. They will often deploy a variety of narcissistic relationship patterns, such as manipulation, charismatic, and exploitation of tactics in order to ensure that their own needs and wants are being met. So, this is one out of the 15 signs you want to look for if your spouse is a narcissist. And the number one is you don't feel connected to them. This is something that was really huge for me in my marriage because I desired to feel one with him. We wasn't being intimate. I actually counted how many times we did it. I'm not going to really disclose that, but I knew I desired feeling one with him, being one with him, and he just didn't want it. He didn't want to be connected with me. I begged and I begged, like, hey, let's do this together. Let's play this game and let's do this to kind of like understand one another. Let's get to know each other all over again. We were so in love in the beginning, and now I feel like I'm not connected with you, and with us not really being intimate physically or emotionally, it made me feel really disconnected from him, like I was in a relationship by myself, to the point where I felt like I had a roommate and not a husband. The second one is gaslighting. Gaslighting has to be one of the ones that I hate the most out of all the signs, because this is what caused a lot of our arguments in our marriage. The biggest thing with me was sex. I was like, listen, I was celibate for 7 years before I got with you, and now I'm not getting any. I don't know what's the issue. And then he would just ignore me and like completely dismiss what I asked. Here's another one that y'all probably know about: love bombing. Love bombing, love bombing, love bombing. So I got married in 2013. By the way, I'm going to talk more about why we got married earlier than what our original date was, because we were supposed to get married on April 12, 2014, but we got married on September 3rd, 2013. And the love bombing began in the beginning. I think the love bombing probably lasts a couple of years after we said I do. He used to buy me shoes, perfume, clothes. You can actually look on my Facebook timeline if you're my friend on Facebook, but I actually post everything that he did. He was filling me up, like buying me I like sparkly heels, so he bought me sparkly heels, sparkly shoes. I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot of nice shoes and a lot of nice clothes because of him. I'm truly grateful for it, but that's the only thing I got from him. And in 2015, it stopped. So now that my marriage is to the end, I found out some things about him that I probably will share with you all later. But now that we're at the end of our marriage and we're kind of going back and forth, I bring up a lot of things that he didn't do. I was like, I was married to you for 9 years. We wasn't intimate. We wasn't really doing anything. And honestly, you haven't really done anything for me, for Caprice. And he used to bring up the whole shoe thing. That's the only thing he could bring up. If you don't look in your closet, you'll see all the things that I got for you. And I'm like, that's great. I'm appreciative of the shoes and stuff. But I don't want no shoes. I want vitamin D. Number 4, holding grudges. This is something that I am somewhat used to. One thing I constantly heard was, you don't care about me, you don't love me, you just thought about yourself when my mom died, you just wanted sex. And that hurt me because, I cared about him and I never wanted him to feel like I was being selfish because I wanted sex. I wanted sex because I wanted to feel close and I wanted to be intimate with my spouse during that time of grief. And ironically, I challenged myself to look at myself even in that moment and say, am I being too selfish because I want to have sex with my husband? And this is the last one I'm going to talk about tonight, but this is called tranquilization. And this is something that happened a lot in our marriage. And we both attended the same church. And while we was attending the church, I used to lean on the leaders to kind of help guide me through what I was going through, because I was in a place where I was completely lost in what I was in. And there was one particular leader that was really close to my ex-spouse, and they've known him since he was a little bitty. And I can always tell when he went to this individual and spoke with them, because I can always pour out what I'm telling her. I'm like, listen, I'm going through it with this individual. I've been married to him for so long and we're just not being intimate. I don't know what's going on. I promise y'all, I went to this individual so many times telling them what exactly is going on. And the best advice they could give me is, I've talked to them, I said what I could say, I'm praying for y'all, I'm hoping everything will work out, I hope everything goes the way it's supposed to go. And I completely leaned on a lot of leaders in the church, even counselors. And the counselors did the best they could. The leaders did the best they could. But nobody really was hearing my side and his side together. And if we were talking together, he really wouldn't be saying too much. But I know that when I wasn't around, he was really feeding the narrative that I was the problem and he wasn't the problem. But the reality of it is, I begged people for years to help me out and help me figure out exactly what was going on in my marriage, because I couldn't understand why he wasn't being communicative, why he wasn't being the husband that a man should be, why he wasn't being the leader that a godly man's supposed to be. There was a lot of things that made me question, why are you with me? So I'm coming over here to let y'all know, if you notice the signs, please understand how it works. Please figure out the best navigation that's going to be good for you and your spouse. Because when you're married, you can't just get up and walk away. If you're in a relationship, run. But if you're married, pray about it, seek God, communicate with your spouse, let them know, like, hey, this is something that I'm noticing in you. What can we do to make this better? Do you really want to be with me, or do you really just want me for my stuff? And I also want to encourage you all, if you do not have anything that's going to keep you balanced, because I promise you all, God himself kept me in this marriage. He's the one that kept me on the straight and narrow, even with moments and days where the emotions ran high because I was so broken and hurt on the inside. He literally kept me. If you do not have anything or anybody keeping you centered, that narcissist will drive you up the wall, because it will make you feel like you're losing it and you will feel crazy. So make sure you find something that keeps you centered. Pray, meditate, do whatever you have to do to keep your mind the way it needs to be in a healthy state, because narcissism is a real thing, and if you do not understand it, you will get lost in the sauce. So once you understand what you in, navigate your way to a better location.